Hello and welcome to the Memory Capsule podcast, where we interview members of the Pokemon trading card game community. My name is Rafal Gladys. Each week, we'll be speaking with our guests about their background with the Pokemon TCG, how they got involved with the game, and give them an opportunity to share their love of the Pokemon TCG. Today's guest is Collin Merli-Matthews. Collin has made day 2 at 6 regionals since competitive play resumed in 2022, including 10th place at Toronto and top 32 at Baltimore and Milwaukee, all with Mew VMAX. How are you doing today, Collin?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm doing pretty good. How's your day going? How's your day?
Going pretty good. Always nice to interview on a Sunday, nice chill day, right? We
Oh
both,
yeah, Sundays are awesome.
yeah, we both had a 1K yesterday. Neither of us did too hot.
Yeah, not the best day. Just
uh,
misplayed a little bit. Played some Lost Box yesterday. Played some Rayquaza. Misplayed a little bit against my own teammate, and I was just scoop up netted the wrong thing, which is okay. We're learning. It's
yeah,
okay with me.
happens to the best of us.
Always.
So, if anyone's kind of hearing your voice for the first time and getting to know you, what do you want our listeners to know about Collin?
Well, I am a Bulbasaur fanatic. I know everything about Pokemon, Pokemon TCG, like collecting everything. I play for Team Top Cut. Just catch me over there sometimes. I'll travel around, love competing. A little more personal. I work downtown. I work at a freight broker. I work as a freight
In
broker.
in Chicago,
Um,
just to clarify.
in Chicago,
Yeah.
yeah. Just in the loop off of Van Buren. If anyone if anyone knows downtown area very well. Just started there a few months ago, going pretty smooth, I think, so far. My manager confirmed I'm doing pretty good, so
Oh, there you go.
it makes me feel a lot better, especially being very nervous at first. Like I'm the new guy,
Yes.
he's like I've not had to yell, I've had to talk to you about doing something different as much as people that have been working here like 3 years. So you're okay. I'm like all right, cool.
Oh, there you go. That's
We're
good to hear.
yeah, because you know what I mean. Whenever you start a new job, you always get a little nervous and
Oh, for
only hope
sure.
for the
It's absolutely
best.
terrifying.
Yeah, knowing
Yeah,
like
just being honest.
nobody.
Just being honest, it can be a little terrifying. How did you first get involved with the Pokemon TCG?
So Pokemon TCG. So like, well, obviously when some of us were kids, we had cards. I had cards. I didn't really know how to play with the game at the time. I was more into like, Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, and I looked looking into the cards. I always appreciated like Pokemon art, and like just loved Pokemon as a kid. And I kind of just forgot about it for a while. Fast forward a little bit, there's this girl I was dating. She was collecting as well, and she dug up her Pokemon cards, and it kind of got me interested more. So we went and bought some packs. This is like a little bit before Ultra Prism came out, so I want to say this was like late 2017 or late 2016 actually. Something like that, around that time. But we bought some Burning Shadows ETBs, which I didn't know the Charizard was in the set. I didn't pull the Charizard. I wish I did, but I pulled like a Rainbow Gardevoir GX, and I'm like, I'm gonna play this. This is really cool. And I had Zoroark, so I was starting to like learn a little bit. Then I started hanging out with Mo, Mr. Mo IDs. I for sure just messed that up for a second, but that's okay.
I think
Yeah,
Dan in our previous interview also mentioned him, and he might have also we'll get Mo on one day, and he can tell us how to pronounce everything right.
absolutely. So and I known him since high school, and I saw we were going to Moraine, and I saw he was like playing. So I went up to him, talked to him, and I was watching. I'm like, oh, this is the Pokemon TCG. And so he kind of showing me. He taught me a little bit at first. I didn't know any of the rules. I didn't know how to like actually play the game and trying to figure it out. And then I started getting really invested in it, and me and Mo started like testing a lot together and showing each other. We were starting to share cards. We were doing like sharing lists. We were building decks together. And got me really interested in competitive. I'm like, okay, I think this is really fun. I really want to adventure this and see what happens. And went to that first regional was Madison that year. It was like the end of the regional. It was like during Forbidden Light format. Like after like Ultra Mally was like the newest deck, and then we had like Buzzrock, Zoroark. I don't know if you played a lot at that time. I think you jumped in a little later than that. I
Yeah,
want
I
to
got
say.
into the game right after 2019 World, so I'm like I know all of the decks, but I never got a chance to really play them.
Okay, for sure. It was a really fun format. I recommend you actually like look it up and like try it sometime with like one of us. And
Okay. What
it was
were you
really
playing at the
fun.
time?
Ultra Mally. I played a lot of Ultra Necrozma. That deck was bad, but I loved it no matter what. It just hit really hard. I love a fast aggressive decks. I played a lot of Buzzrock. I think I like that deck more than Ultra Mally personally. Just Buzzwole just hits like a truck, and like you can max elixir first turn KO something if you're really lucky with it. Lycanroc's just a great card, just a great attacker. That GX attack is insane. Free Bloodthirsty Eyes, just free Gust, like Gust kill. And also got to play Beast Ring in the deck because we love Beast Ring here.
True. I know
One of
you're
the best
big. You're a
cards.
big Beast Ring fan, big Ultra Beast fan.
Absolutely, I have a Blacephalon on inside my arm with the Beast Ring behind it. Um, that's probably what I mean. He's probably my favorite Ultra Beast out of them, but at that time for sure, I think Buzzwole. I like that deck a lot more.
Okay.
I still have it sleeved up in my room. Actually, I still
Oh,
have it
really?
sleeved up here. Yeah, I have like all the shiny Buzzwalls and the shiny Lycanrocs because at that time they were kind of cheap to get. I'm like, well, we're gonna use those.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah. But yeah, so then we started like getting competitive with that. That first regional, actually, a little fun fact, Mr. Ryan Prusak. That's actually where I first met him. He was my last round opponent.
Oh,
That
really?
regional. Yeah. So then we started then we exchanged phone numbers after that, and I didn't realize he was from the area that much. And then we started talking, and that's how I'm like kind of friends with Ryan.
Okay.
Um,
So you had all these like Chicagoland connections that were kind of building up over time as you were getting more competitive.
yeah, exactly. There's people I didn't even know, like Memphis that later another time. I actually played against Dan Hugar, and I didn't
Oh,
even
there we
know.
go.
Yeah, I didn't even know, and like we just sat across from each other. He was playing Vicar Ray, and I was playing the one regional I ever played Zoroark. I played Zoroark, and we just sat across from each other, and we were having a great time. It was an awesome set. Like it was down to the wire. Sure, my favorite set I played that whole day. Um, Dan's just a really cool dude, so some good energy.
Nice. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of Dan praise, I'm sure. As long
Oh yeah,
as long as we're
100%.
as long as we're talking to people from the Chicago area, we're gonna be getting a lot of Dan Hugar praise. I'm
Oh,
sure of it.
absolutely, absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, oh,
He's a good dude.
definitely.
He's a good dude for sure. One of the cooler people I've met in the area.
Oh yeah, no
He's
doubt.
also a really good player himself.
As I kind of introduced you at the beginning, I mentioned that you had 6 day 2s, all with Mew VMAX. Now,
Absolutely.
I don't wanna linger too much on kind of where the game is at the moment,
Sure.
but do you mind kind of telling us when did you pick up this Mew deck? Because you seem to be pretty successful with it, and everyone in the area seems to know you as the Mew guy. When did you end up picking up that deck?
So okay, I am known as a Mew guy. And I'm smiling while saying that. So that first day two on my Limitless, if you see the Salt Lake City, that was the first regional we came back. I was hanging around with the Top Cut guy on Top Cut at the time, but I was just friends with like Jarek and Jeremy and Andy before that. I kind of knew them a little bit, and they were talking about going. I'm like, oh, I'll go, like no problem. I was gonna play Gengar because at the time, if you remember, I was playing a lot of Gengar.
Mm-hmm.
Because all our local was just Mew and Gengar was bopping the deck.
And you have the Umbreon, which is just Bloodthirsty Eyes. It's all over again.
Exactly. That was the best. I love that Umbreon so much. Such a good card. So, and I wasn't gonna, and I played like 10 games with Mew before that, and that night it was like 2 in the morning. I'm like, I think I'll play Gengar. Like, just play Mew. I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. So I sleeved it up and went ham after that. That was my first ever day two was at Salt Lake City. That was my first one. I remember I started 1-0, then I went 1-1. Then I won 4 in a row. After that, I was like 5-1 and hit Mr. Caleb Gedimer and hit a mirror match, and we tied and then won the next round. So I'm like, okay, this is my first day two. This is awesome. Just for me to hit Mo round one of day two, which was really funny. Terrible matchup, but I picked it up after that. And I'm like, this is really cool. It fit my playstyle a lot. It's just a very aggressive deck, but it's a very consistent aggressive deck. So it made me more inclined to play it. And then I played it at Indianapolis again. I just play Urshifu, but something called me to it, and I just gravitated,
It
and
just
it
kept bringing
started
you
after.
back.
It just brought me back. It's like, do I like? I mean, like I had people like tell me to do it. Like I was like, Rachel's a big supporter of me. Shout out to her. She like just play. You know that more than Urshifu. And I was trying to test Urshifu for like 2 or 3 weeks. It was the crazy like Tord list where like 21 ofs.
Oh yeah.
That deck that was really hard for me at least. I think. I think if I played a little bit longer, I probably could have gotten it down. but I just wasn't. I just couldn't. I just wasn't putting enough time into that deck probably to learn it, and I was really trying. But Mew was just kind of always had it. It's just consistent and it just does what it needs to do. And then it just kept on going after that. It just called me back. I'm like, well, I have so much success with it. Why would I not play it? I've doubted the choice before a couple regionals. I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, I just sat there and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I believe in it, so why should I turn my back against it? If that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense. I know it's not very common to sit there, it's on the TCG and just play the same deck a lot. But I just love consistency. It's just super consistent. It's super fast, like super aggressive. And now there's multiple variations. So there's Fusion Strike, there's DTE Mew, so it has like a little disruption pattern. Like there's I think that build has a little bit better chance in the meta right now for sure if you were to play Mew. Um it just has options, and it just sometimes just turn 2 KOing though with Meloetta just wins you the game.
Yesterday at the 1K I played, when I was playing Arceus Box, I got turn 1 KO'd by a Meloetta for the first time in months. And I was like, oh yeah,
That
forgot
exists.
about this feeling. I hate it.
Oh my god, it's dude, everyone forgets about it. Like, um, when I was at Toronto, right? Because which was the best finish of those, that you had listed.
Hmm.
Um, I just remember I caught so many people off guard just playing Fusion. I caught like I hit 4 Lugia. I lost to one because he was playing a Drapion. That was my round one opponent. But then the other ones would just set up one Lugia pass and catcher and like, oh, okay, mellow, and they're like, wait, what? And catcher heads
Oh
kill their own
no.
Lugia, and they just like, I can't win after that. I'm like, yeah, you're never gonna establish another Lugia after that. So then they just kind of scoop, go to the next game, and I can just try and do that again because Lugia is a consistent deck, but it's a very consistent deck. However, there's a lot of times where it just has a mediocre starting hand where it can't establish the second Lugia if it feels like it needs to against decks like Mew that can just KO it right away. It doesn't have just it just sometimes falters like that. So
Hmm.
that's when taking advantage of it works. Also has a good DTE matchup, which I already knew that from Baltimore, but I was 5-0 in the mirror at Toronto. One was an actual fusion mirror, the other four were DTEs. So really crazy week. That was a really crazy weekend though.
Yeah. Yeah, you ended up in 10th place. You bubbled out of cut, is that right?
Yeah, there was three of us 34. There's three of us 34.
Hmm.
I mean, me getting 10th, I mean, I for sure wouldn't have made it because like the ninth person would have made it over me.
Yeah.
But if I had like if one of those losses I had was a tie, I was in top cut for sure. I was guaranteed.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. I mean, that is unfortunate, but hopefully, soon enough you'll get that top 8.
I appreciate it. I want that top so bad. Like I'm not complaining about 10th though. I will never complain about that. I was mad at the moment because I'm like, could I have done anything different? And I sat there. I'm like, I really couldn't have done anything different. I did everything I could have. And that's kind of how you have to look at it sometimes. It's
Hmm.
that's one thing about competitive. Like it's hard to not be hard on yourself if people don't do well. I was talking with Calvin Connor about this actually the other day about like being hard on ourselves. Like competitive, we could do better, but even though we know we aren't bad players, we have high expectations for ourselves.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was struggling for a second thinking of the word, but try like because we know we can do better. We can always reach that ceiling and perform. It just sometimes the deck doesn't want to work that day, or matchup roulette is a huge factor as well.
Yeah. Has that
So
mentality kind of changed over time for you? Do you feel like you've kind of grown into that mindset?
I would think so. I think when I first started playing, I'd get frustrated a lot when I wasn't doing well sometimes, and just I didn't know how to like analyze if I did anything what I did wrong. I didn't know how to like intake and like kind of take feedback. And now I'm more accepting of that and take feedback back. I think it helped a lot with that mindset grow into that of like, well, could I have done anything different? Like actually try and learn from the experiences. I think that's a very important part to grow into a better competitive player or just a better TCG player, regardless of if it's Pokemon, like Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, like learning from your mistakes is a huge part, even just in general life. So growing into that mindset is I think, very important for for just in general. But
No, definitely. Do you feel like between kind of the where you were at as a player before COVID to coming back at Salt Lake City and making day two, had you been playing a lot over that like kind of year and a half we were out of the game?
I actually wanted. I was thinking about quitting actually when COVID, because because I had played a lot of Blondes, as everyone knew, and like that rotating, I kind of felt a little gypped, and I just kind of didn't want to play Pokemon for a little bit. And then Battle Styles came out, and I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. And then I fell in love with Single Strike because I like I like big one hit decks a lot, and Single Strike Archie was that. And then that just drove me right back into playing, and then I just went into like a hyper focus mode and decided I wanted to like get better and learn again and like try and give it another shot and see what I can do and try and put myself that. And obviously, it's worked. I tried to play a lot. I tried to play all as much as I possibly could because I just love playing. I love playing trading card games. I just love it, especially Pokemon. Pokemon is very fun.
For
I think.
sure. I would agree.
Yeah,
I would agree. Personally, on the Pokemon podcast, I would definitely agree that Pokemon's pretty fun.
100%.
Yeah.
It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh sucks.
Hey, we're not here to
We're
trash
not
the
here
other
to
games,
bash,
right?
but
Yeah.
actually I shouldn't say that game sucks. But it's not not my cup of tea anymore. Pokemon
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I do have a Yu-Gi-Oh deck that I tried to build, and it's very overwhelming compared to picking up a Pokemon deck for the first time.
Oh, for sure. Just the amount of interaction instead is a huge difference, and it's a huge different like how to play the game. It's just a different like because you're always trying to think about what they're gonna do, what they can do. Some of those skills kind of also come back into other card games though, kind of trying to because the better way to do it is try and be like a turn ahead of your opponent, like think about what they're knowing what they're gonna do next, and then forcing that to play into what you want to play into. I'm trying to describe it very poorly, but I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it. Like you're trying to you're making them play how you want them to play. Like doing what you do during your turn, make them forced to do a certain play so you know how to counteract that play and have the ability to counteract and
Yeah, like kind of play
yeah.
into like your game plan instead of theirs.
Yeah, like kind of like chess, kind of like making it like work like chess, like
Hmm.
trying to set up your checkmate.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, a lot of those skills definitely transfer over between kind of strategic games.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Another big thing I kind of wanted to ask you about, as someone who has played against you and knows that you're a big fan of some bling in your deck,
Oh yeah.
you have quite the collection of cards. Can you tell us about how you got into collecting?
Oh, absolutely. When I first started like opening packs and I was like seeing card arts, I'm like, whoa, Pokemon has a really cool artwork. This is even before some of the alt arts came out, and like some of the full arts just look really good. The rainbows, like full art supporters, they just do really good jobs with. Even some of the regular like common cards, like this artwork, just think they try and capture a Pokemon personality, and I really enjoy that. Getting like alt arts and the character rares, I've fallen even more in love, and I just like I want to collect this. I think these are awesome to look at, and obviously they'll hold value to themselves, but like just being able to like just look at some of the crazy artwork because like the artists put a lot of time into making these, and for us to and especially some Pokemon that just don't get it that kind of stuff like. Which is something I appreciate. Like Skuntank, for example. Skuntank, just got an alt art, which I think the alt art is awesome, and I'm really glad they gave a Pokemon like that some love because some Pokemon just don't get a lot of it, and I I appreciate even if they're not one of my favorite Pokemon, I appreciate them getting artwork and like them taking time to make it look good. So it's more of an appreciation to that as well. And I always had an interest in collecting cards. I always had an interest, just never had the like the job to be able to collect. Does that make sense?
For sure, especially over the last 2 years, it's definitely
It's gone up.
not. It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, it's not a very cheap hobby by any
It's
means.
it's not. No, it's not. But I've always appreciated it. My deck is always blinged out. I just like how they look. I mean I know they shuffle technically different, but if you have them all same rarity, they shuffle the same. That's a lot of
How do you
people's
feel
arguments.
about your opponents riffling your deck?
I hate it. There's one dude, Indy. Actually, one dude tried to do that. I'm like, please don't do that. Don't do that, because like I didn't have my plasma balls yet, but like my deck was still 100% max rarity, and it's like he's like, okay, never mind. I'm like, okay, cool. People try not like one person like I try not to like super flip out unless they like aggressive try to go like bridge it. I'm like, hey, like Please don't. Please don't do that. I spend a lot of money on my cards. Please. Especially the plasma balls. Those are an investment.
Oh, the plasma, the Ultra Balls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are kind of a recent pickup for me. I kind of, I'm like, you know what? I just want the prettier Ultra Ball. I personally like the Plasma Ultra Ball more than the other ones. I have nothing against the Sun and Moon or the Sword and Shield one, but the Plasma one it's just that certain like gold background to it and like how it goes into the actual card art, like
Oh
the
yeah.
text.
You get a little textured Pokeball symbol at the bottom for all the trainer cards.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I think that looks super cool.
Yeah.
Same with like the gold catchers and stuff like that.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, some of the older golds just look really good. Some of the new ones are kind of tacky.
Yeah,
Some of them,
it's a
not a
little
lot of
much
them.
sometimes.
Yeah, some of them are. But the old ones are just clear, like clean cut. Like they look really nice, and I think even with them shuffling, I think they're not like that much different compared to like the full arts and stuff like that
Hmm.
in terms of texture, in terms of thickness. Because I don't, you know what I mean? Like you know what I'm talking about, like thickness of your cards. Because I
Yeah,
know
like
Max Rarity card.
I had some like older energy cards, and people have told me to kind of be careful with those, just because like they might not match up with the rest of the deck, right?
Exactly. There's because I have like Call of Legends energies, like the promos, but I just don't like to use them because of that. Because they warp a lot and they have a really different thickness. So they do shuffle a little different than the other Max Rarity stuff. And the fact that they warp means you can get like marked cards and stuff like that, which we don't want that.
Definitely not. No, that's a smart thing to always be aware of if you're trying to bling out your deck.
Yes. At Baltimore, my round one opponent, I we finished game one in 3 minutes. He like just let Arceus pass, and I went mellow at a donk, right?
Hmm.
Judge walked by and he's like, "Can we deck check you guys?" Like, yeah, absolutely. And they came back and gave him a game loss because the Call of Legends promo waters, and all 7 of his energy, you could tell that they were energies. They were like kind of marked because of how they warped.
Mm.
Um, so sometimes in like that instance, he lost the second game when he needed to win 2 in a row to try and win the set, right?
Yeah.
So it just kind of cost him that. So if that ever happened to me, I think that I just feel terrible after that. I'd be like, well, I didn't even get a chance to like try and even win this set.
Yeah.
I didn't even get a chance. So I try to at least stay away from at least when those put those up really pretty energy though.
Mm.
They're probably the best energy that they've ever printed.
Oh, definitely. I
Probably.
mean, those are amazing. But that's interesting. I've never thought about kind of how conscious you have to be with making sure there's some consistency with the deck.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a other thing when some people this is something I've always think about, and like some people bring it up to me, and I kind of like to talk about it. When people obviously deck profiling is like super important when you're going through deck checking your prizes and playing like a couple like one ofs of like golds and stuff like that. But if you like match if all your items are gold, but everything else is common, it's gonna mess up your shuffling because of the thickness difference because everything's matching at the same time.
Mm.
So having like 1 or 2 cards, I think doesn't make much of a difference. But like half your deck and the other half's not, then it's like a whole different thing.
Gotcha.
That's something. Yeah, I've had that conversation with a couple of people because obviously play whatever arts you guys want. Obviously, I do the same thing, but just something to be conscious of if people aren't really thinking about that much.
Okay. When it comes to card art, do you have a particular card that really stands out to you that you really like, or an artist?
Card art. I'll probably go with the art. The think about like yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of good ones. I'm probably gonna list a couple because it's hard to pick at least just one.
Oh, dude, go for it.
I think most of the EVs like alt arts are really cool. I really like the Sylveons the most. I think the Sylveon or the Umbreon. Um, the Sylveon's just very colorful. There's a lot of like little cute Pokemon around. It's kind of just a very nice, very colorful artwork. The Umbreon is just, I mean, I just love that card in general, and that it's just a very nice like kind of just darker artwork. It's not like dark meaning obviously, but just darker colors, which is kind of nice. I mean, I wear a lot of like dark colors, so I kind of appreciate it a little bit. And that card also just having having a little special place in my heart on top of it. That plays a little bit. The Giratina alt art, I think that's probably my favorite alt art though. If I was to actually pick one, I think that's probably my favorite one.
The Giratina V.
Yeah, Giratina is one of my favorite Pokemon, and then on top of it, just that art is very awesome. It's very colorful, very vibrant. There's a lot going on. It's just like kind of hectic, which is fine because Giratina is from like the distortion world. It's kind of hectic, you know.
Yeah.
So it kind of plays into that Pokemon's personality, I think. What's another? There's a couple other ones. The new Regidrago though, that one's also a really cool one. I like how we just sitting there, like
Oh, just kind of
the
chilling.
calmness. Yeah, and in the background you even see like a Lugia
Yeah, I've
in the
noticed
background.
that. I like how they have. Have you seen how some of the new the stadium full arts have Pokemon in the background? Like Temple of Sinnoh has like a Murkrow flying in the back.
Yes, I love the little cameos. I just love it. Like that's like the other thing. I just love the little cameos that they put in them because it's a little fun. It's little Easter eggs. It's just something you can appreciate.
Yeah, I think someone on Twitter recently mentioned that there's some artist that always kind of slips in a little Pokeball into all of their artwork. Like there's like either leaves kind of in the shape of a Pokeball, or it's like drawn into the grass in every single card art they make. So there's even like little stuff even deeper than we realize.
It's stuff we overlook. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have to like really analyze it and be like, oh, that's what this is. It's nice. It's a nice little fun game.
Yeah.
And I guess I just appreciate the effort that they put into a lot of these,
Hmm.
especially with the trainer galleries and stuff. Like having like I mean, well, those are. I mean, they're not technically alt arts, but they're. I kind of count them towards that
Yeah.
way
Who
with
who
having a
knows
trainer gallery.
anymore, right? Like
Yeah, there's like 1,000 rarities, no big deal. Like even those, like showing the Pokemon with their trainer that represents that Pokemon. Like let's use the Garchomp for example. The Garchomp with the like with Cynthia, just a classic, just a classic Pokemon. I don't know if you played the video games,
oh yeah, definitely.
like Gen 4. Gen 4 is probably my favorite gen of Pokemon. Um, so I mean she's just awesome, and the Garchomp's just a really cool Pokemon. Everyone loves them.
Yeah. And now
So
we have the new Cynthia's Ambition from Crown Zenith. She's with Gastrodon.
oh yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
It is
Uh,
nice because like the games being what they are graphically,
yeah.
the cards give a lot of much needed personality to the characters sometimes.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah. Sometimes I just like to look through. I just sit there and look through my binders once in a while. I'm like, man, this has a lot of great art. Like I just love looking at it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a whole page in my binder that's just like ugly art. There's
Oh yeah.
there's this like really old Mischievous card that just has like a weird little double chin. Like it just doesn't look like what Mischievous is supposed to look like, and I don't really know what was going on with the art there,
Oh my
but I
god.
think a lot of the old like kind of Neo series has some really freaky art on some of the cards.
Yes, I agree. I think that was still during the like, which is the coast time. I
Yeah,
think that's
that
when
was
they're
kind
still
of near
doing it.
the end
They're
of it, so maybe they were just going all out.
probably they're like, you know what? Screw it. We're just gonna run it,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Some of the older artwork is very interesting. Sometimes when I look through my Bulbasaurs and stuff like that, because besides having them tattooed on my arm, I have a collection of the Bulbasaurs and Ivysaurs and Venusaurs, and sometimes seeing that some of their older artworks is just super interesting, super wacky. There's like one this one of the cooler ones I think. There's a Bulbasaur. It was a old Japanese like promo. I think it was I forgot how the promo was given out. I think it was like a vending machine promo. I think don't quote me on that one exactly, but it's him in the lab. And he's like the last Pokemon from like Professor Oak that he's giving
Oh
out, and he has
really?
his Pokeball. Yeah, I'll um I'll have to send you that. I'll actually send you that one so I can show you what I'm talking about. He's but yeah, he's just sitting there like he's looking like kind of angry. He's looking kind of angry. He's the last Pokemon in the lab, so it's kind of like a little darker artwork because it's like a little kind of more sad that is like the last Pokemon because like a lot of people didn't pick Bulbasaur.
Yeah.
He's like the least picked of the three. No, he's the best one into at least the first two gyms. I think he has a better ratio for at least some of for a fair amount of the gyms. He kind of loses to Blaine a lot, but he's good for the first even three because Surge. He doesn't Surge hits for resistance. I want to say that
I
one
think so.
because
Yeah.
electric. I think electric is
No,
yeah.
grass resists electric. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what
I'm
I
trying
meant.
to remember all the types. I will say I'm also a Bulbasaur guy. I always thought Charizard was a little overrated
That's what's
personally.
up.
So there you go.
That's what's
There you
up.
go. I'm a big grass starter guy. So I had to hunt down this Bulbasaur on Google. It's a
I'm googling it right now to
yeah.
send it
It's
to you.
it's
That's
it's
what
called
good.
like Bulbasaur. It's like the number one Bulbasaur deck VHS eight like deck 18 or something. like if you Google some variation of like Bulbasaur promo VHS, you'll find it. It's very specific, and he looks really sad to be the last Pokemon picked.
Dude, honestly, yeah. They just do it. They did him like so. They just do him so dirty with his
That's
cards.
so
Like
sad.
we just got like Venusaur just got a shiny out of like his. I know Charizard has 1,000 cards. Obviously, that makes sense. He's one of the figureheads of Pokemon when you really think about it. Because when you think of Pokemon, the first two Pokemon you think of is Pikachu and Charizard. Like or most people that barely know Pokemon,
Mhm.
they know those two Pokemon. So that makes sense. But Blastoise has two shinies of himself. There's a Radiant and then the secret rare from I want to say Plasma Freeze. I want to say it was Plasma Freeze.
Yeah,
It's the same set as
that's
the
the Deluge
Charizard.
Blastoise. I want
Yeah.
my GLC deck,
Yes.
but it costs about as much as the rest of my GLC deck. So maybe another day. I was looking at those old Plasma Freeze shiny arts, and I was like, okay, so the Deluge Blastoise got one. Like most of them are also meta cards. There's like the Archeops that turns off evolution.
Yep.
There's the Chandelure that places damage counters. There's Blastoise. Then this Charizard got one, which was never played, but it's Charizard, so
But
it
it's
had to get one. And
Charizard.
there's no Venusaur. There's just no, there's a Blastoise and
Exactly.
a Charizard, but no Venusaur in that series.
Like the Radiant Venusaur is his first shiny.
Really?
The card.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
tough.
I'm stockpiling on them. I have currently 14 of those. Currently,
Okay.
I have a full. I have a full. I do my stuff in like quadros, like quadro binders. Um, but I filled up a page and I didn't realize I already had one page filled, so I still picked up a couple, and then I'm like, well, I'm gonna put these in another spot
Time
binder
for a second
because I
page,
have no
right?
time for a
Yeah.
second page. We're gonna go. We're gonna go for 24. So I need 10 more.
I'm gonna send you a picture of this really ugly Mischievous. For anyone listening, it's Black Star Promo 39 is the Mischievous that has the really weird shape. That I don't know what reference the artist was using, but that just is not a Mischievous.
You know, when you're describing it, I actually was thinking of this card. I was thinking like I'm like this is probably that art that he's talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. I do. This is a very interesting artwork. Like I don't understand this double chin action they got going on,
It's got the goofy little
or
face.
or is this like no neck syndrome? Like I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Like that's not exactly what Mischievous looks like
Yeah,
for sure.
who knows? Who knows, man? Yeah, there's been a lot of wacky art, and I've been a big fan of. I think the artist, I think Komiya is their name. They do kind of like all of like the trippy kind of psychedelic looking stuff nowadays. There's like the Slow King V alt art, where it was just
Oh
like
yes,
stream of goo or something.
goo or something. That's one way to describe it. It's a goo river kind of
Yeah,
deal.
basically, and it's looking really nefarious. I don't know. That's the best word I can think of. The Slow King V looks like a very bad dude.
The very bad dude. But yeah, so but collecting, I don't know. It's just something I've just always liked, and opening packs is always just fun. So especially if you pull something cool,
Hmm.
get all onto it, get to collect it.
Do you have kind of like an end game to your collection, or any cards you're still like chasing?
Um, let's see. Well, out of the alt art stuff, I mean, I'm gonna need the stuff from Con Zenith. If anyone pulls anything, hit me up. I would very interested. Because I try to keep up to date on all of them. I would I want to I'm trying to get multiple of stuff. Trying to have multiple copies. So another chase for me is probably trying to get another Rayquaza VMAX personally. Um, that's a kind of a big chase that I will eventually I'll buy one day. But because everything keeps going up, I don't know if you like watch the market on some of this stuff too. But even the older alt arts are just going up and up.
Oh yeah, I mean
Like
all the Evolving Skies stuff is just
it's
out of this
expensive.
world.
The Umbreons are like over 500 now, almost 600.
Really?
Yeah, the Rayquazas I think we're hitting almost. I think they went down a little bit, but last time I checked, they were like close to 300. Even some of the newer ones, like Giratina, went up too. The Giratina is like 250, 300,
Huh.
and that's relevant. That's not even well, that's kind of more than see. That's like 4 months ago, 5 months ago. About came out September 12th. So yeah, about 4 or 5 months ago. And that already went up like $100 when it came out in release. So it's kind of crazy to think about that. It's kind of interesting to watch that kind of market. The true one I want, I will eventually. I'm gonna have to get eventually because I'm trying to go for a master set, at least one of every Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur card.
Oh, nice.
So I'm missing a lot of the first editions. I'm missing a first ed Shadowless. I have a unlimited Shadowless, but not a first ed. Um, I would like a first ed. I regretted not buying one at Collinsville right before COVID,
Oh,
before
yeah,
everything
I'm sure they like
jumped. There,
quadrupled since then.
yeah, like there's one in the case that was like 150. I'm sitting there like, let me think about it. You know, I'm like, I want to see if I can find one for a little cheaper than that, and then just that has been the cheapest price that has been in like a couple
Yeah, like a
years.
damaged one might go for that much at this point.
Yeah,
Like, it's just not worth it.
like barely sleevable, and it's like, oh, here's like 600. Like, oh, what do you mean 600? Like so stuff like that. I need a that's the really big chase card for me is that first ad Shadowless. So that's the big one. I'd like to try and get one at some point soon, but I'd like to buy that kind of card in person so I can actually inspect it in person because that's obviously the old cards are very condition based, so like um value obviously varies on conditions in general, but seeing it up close and personal with your own eye is a little different. Like seeing pictures, you know what I mean? Because you
Yeah,
can
they
see
can be
like all
very
this, like usually you can see
deceptive.
this, you can see like more of the scratches on the front and the back. You can kind of look for more nicks and dings.
A buddy of mine once bought a card on eBay that where the description of the card was like Flygon EX PSA 10 question mark, and he bought it and it had like this massive crease that was like covered up by like the lighting in the photo, and it's like, yeah, like it was advertised as PSA 10, like who, it was a question, you know, it was it was
I'd be so
PSA 10, like, hey, anything could be a PSA 10, right? You know, it turns out it was not a very high quality card that got sent to him.
PSA 10 question mark
Yeah,
maybe.
like pretty tricky advertising there on
I think they
eBay.
added I think they added a zero to that card's grade for sure. Then if it's like super creased, if they get I think that would get a one. I don't know if they'd even grade that depending on how big the crease is.
Yeah, I don't know. I know some people collect PSA ones, but that feels like a dangerous game. Like how bad does a card have to be for it to be a one, versus them to just say like we're not even gonna touch this, right?
Exactly. Like I'm not super into like all the PSA stuff. I get it. I haven't personally. I have a couple cards. If I was to do it, I would probably try and send in. I think they're pretty clean. Um, but I mean I have a couple. I've been given a couple. I've seen a couple. Like sometimes some of the regionals they have like some vendors that have graded cards and they do kind of deals on them. Like there's like a couple of PSA eights or nines. Like it's like $25 or whatever. Like finding like I think I have a Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur, of course, from that. But it's also interesting. The holy grail of the PSAs is literally the ones and the tens.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two most valuable numbers, to my understanding, because it's really hard to get a one and it's really hard to get a 10.
Yeah. The worst thing
Like
might be trying to send in a one and then you get a two. Because
yeah, I'd be like,
what do you do at
damn
that
it!
point?
Let me crack it. Let me put another crease in it. Let me send it back.
Yeah.
People do that. I've seen a video that's like actually crumple up like an old Blastoise to try and get a one. Like he like folded it and
Oh
creased it so
God,
he could send it in. It
that's
hurt my soul. I'm
terrifying.
like that sounds stupid. That's just destroying so much value. But
Yeah.
it's your card, right? Do what you want to it.
Yeah. During kind of like the height of all the grading stuff, kind of like early 2021, I was at this local card shop at this like mall, and they mostly just sold like sports memorabilia, but the owner was talking about how everyone's into grading, and he was just saying like the grading's so subjective. If the grader gets divorced that morning, who knows what grade he's going to give a card? He might give a 10 and 8.
Yeah.
If he had a good day that morning, he might give it a 10 and it's actually a 7. He was just going on this whole rant about how subjective the grading process is. But it
Oh,
does
for
sound like
sure.
quite the experience. I mean, these guys are just staring at these cards 24/7 nowadays.
Their eyes are probably for sure strained of
Oh,
like trying to make sure the
definitely.
alignments are right. They're months and months behind, and the cost of grading actually I think has gone up. Don't for sure quote me on that. I want to say it has. They send cards in. I think that has gone up.
Oh, I'll quote you because I sent cards in and it
Oh,
got
perfect.
yeah, we went, me and my friends went through a middleman, and then a week after we sent in, PSA basically said we're closing all submissions except like literally like the hundreds of dollars ones, or maybe it was submissions in total, but then for a while you couldn't do like the lowest two options, and the prices had been raised, so now, you know, Because I think, I mean, it got to a point in like 2021 where people were like sending in just like basics, like just like commons from all the sets they were opening, or just like random stuff. The funny thing I've noticed is that a lot of people, including myself, got a lot of amazing rares graded at the time
Yeah.
because they were horrible. No one was playing amazing rares, and then I get my Rayquaza sent back to me. I'm like, oh crap, I need this card. What do I do with my PSA 10 Rayquaza?
Oh, you got a 10 on it?
I got a 10, but so many people graded them, they're worth almost nothing.
Oh,
Because
well,
everyone graded their amazing rares.
that makes
Everyone.
sense. There's a high population of them. That's still
Yeah.
cool. You got a 10 on it though. That's really
Oh no,
cool.
it feels good. It's nice to
Because
just have a 10.
sometimes Pokemon's printing quality is poor. As we look
Yeah.
at,
Yeah.
let's look at like Burning Shadows. Let's look at that Charizard specifically. There's like a lot less 10s of that because the printing quality of that set was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them were just damaged out of the pack, so you couldn't even get a chance of like even like a 9. You could
Really.
get like an 8 sometimes. Yeah, like because they like have a lot of scratches or like even just white marks already on the card. You couldn't even do anything about it.
Mm.
It's just the printing quality is poor. I think Evolving Skies had a couple printing quality issues, but I mean, I personally don't see too much of an issue with my stuff I have from it. So my Umbreons I think look pretty cool.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, the great Umbreons. I
Hmm.
was wild enough to use those before. They have not after those days they've been sitting in the binder. I've not
Yeah,
taken them out
that's a
since.
scary card to put in a deck.
Yeah, like that was well, especially now. At the time, I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. I want the deck to look to match, So I had max rated single strike. Um, so I mean, I took them out after I was done playing with the deck. I put them in the binder. I'm like, I'm not taking these out. And then fast forward, I have Mo messaging me like, "Hey, you should tell your Umbreons." I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I think they're gonna hit way more. I think that card's gonna hit. Like, I think it's gonna double at some point. I think it's gonna hit like 1,000 at some point
I'm sure.
in
I'm
the
sure
lifetime.
eventually.
Like, it's already up to 500 and it's been out for. I think Evolving has been a year now.
About a year.
About
I
a
think
year.
just over a year. I think it was like fall of 2021.
I think. Yeah. Same for even like the future check, like the Gengars went up too. Those are like 160 last time I checked. Fusion check ones, the alt arts.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy, ain't it? Sorry, I know we are talking about that earlier, but I was thinking about it more as we're talking about it.
For anyone who is interested in getting into collecting, is there any kind of suggestions you'd make, especially now that the market's become so kind of crazy with some of the card prices?
Fair. Well, I think right now, if you look for even some of the cards that I think I've seen like more the for more modern collecting, I suggest grabbing like if you see because a lot of the PSA cards of the newer cards aren't worth much more than they were as they are out of the like raw. So I think some of those like getting like tens of certain cards now. I think of moderns, like I saw some guy was selling on like one of the Chicagoland groups. He was selling like an Altar Aerodactyl and a PSA 10 like Rainbow Mew for like 130, but the Aerodactyl is pretty much alone that. So he was basically getting rid of that for free. So getting that now and holding it for later, its value is going to go up exponentially because Fusion Strike's going to die down as a set to open. So I think grabbing maybe some PSAs of modern cards now I think are good to hold on to for sure. I definitely recommend trying to pick up any of the modern alt arts now because we're gonna regret that in a few years. I think, as they've already like we've been saying, they've already been going up. Um, so like watching the market, making sure like trying to make that little investment with it. Um, like some like I'm glad I kept up with them because I would if I didn't have Umbreons now before then I would not probably want to buy them now because that's just a very high price. So
Mm-hmm.
if it's like especially if it's a popular Pokemon, like look at the Pokemons on top of it too. Like the EVs are always good stuff to grab,
Yeah,
good
and
stuff to
that's why
collect.
Evolving Skies is just so hot because you get all the EVs, you got the Rayquaza. Like, there's not a lot of bad alt arts in that set.
Exactly.
Nothing you
Even
wouldn't
some
want to pull.
yeah, like even like pulling the Golurk, like the Golurk's probably the worst one to pull, and honestly, that card looks pretty good. I like Golurk as a Pokemon personally. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's like helping
Uh,
build a house or something, right?
yeah, it's a nice little wholesome art.
Yeah, he's
Even
chilling.
getting the Medicham, like the Medicham. Well, the Medicham was also playable for a really long time, but even that Medicham, I think when that might not have been that was evolving. That was
I
yeah,
believe
it
it
was
was.
evolving.
Yeah.
It was that or it was chilling. I'm pretty sure it was evolving though. I want to say. There's just a bunch of them. I sometimes lose track of it. There's just so many. They have so many cards out now. Um, But the Medicham even, like, I think that one's not a bad one to even get because Medicham is not a fan favorite all the time, but that's just a really good looking card, personally. I just love I I just love all the arts, man.
Yeah, there's not a lot of alt arts where I would say like this isn't that good. There's a couple that are just like kind of boring, I would say, where it's just like it's the Pokemon but big. Like I think the original Altar Duraludon VMAX, where it's just like it's Duraludon but big, like is a little
Yep.
little underwhelming for me. But now we have the one with Raihan and he's like screaming at the
That card's
skyscrapers.
so awesome.
It's
I love
so
that art for
good.
Duraludon. Like he is just kind of like the OG Duraludon VMAX. Just that Altar, he's just standing like he's just big. The Altar V was better than the VMAX. Like Raihan just chilling with him.
That's the difficulty with the VMAXs because you got to make them big, but
Yeah,
then you got to think of like a setting where them being big makes any sort of sense.
exactly. Specifically Duraludon because he's already just a big Pokemon. He's just huge. I think well actually what is his height? I don't know his exact height,
I have no idea.
but I know when he Dynamax he's like one of the biggest
Oh,
Pokemon.
for sure. Well, he becomes a skyscraper. That's why he's got the ability.
Exactly.
Which I keep forgetting is called skyscraper. Did you know that?
I forget sometimes too. I
Everyone
just
just
know
says
that's the
Duraludon's
ability says
ability.
no.
Like, who knows what it's called?
That's just the one I know. It says no.
Yeah.
Actually, he's not as tall as I thought. He's 5'11".
Really?
Yeah, I'm actually taller than a Duraludon because I am 6'2".
Damn.
I didn't know. I thought he was taller than
You gotta
that.
get a Dynamax Collin versus Dynamax Duraludon battle.
I'm curious about the Dynamax of him, of how big that is, but um, yeah, but like picking him up, I think picking up stuff now before you regret it, especially the trainer gallery, the character rares. Like those are gonna take a little longer to increase in value, but they're super cheap now. Like a couple dollars. I think the only one that's expensive, I think, is the Pikachu's, and like I think they're not even like $10. So
Hmm.
I reckon, or unless you get the Nuzzle one from Cosmic Eclipse, but that one makes more sense as it's more expensive because it is now for sure older because Cosmic Eclipse is not being printed anymore.
Yeah. I am also glad that a lot of the trainer gallery and alt arts are actually playable cards, because looking back at the Cosmic Eclipse, those cards suck. Like, there's some
Yes,
bad cards that got alt arts. The Wishy-Washy is in my GLC deck, but beyond that, like, what do I do with any of those?
exactly.
So it is just nice to see Pokemon kind of seeing like how people reacted to those and being like, oh, you like character rares? Here's every good card as a character rare. Enjoy.
Perfect. Crown Zenith is like this set is awesome. Like I know, like most people say that about every new set that happens, but this set just has a lot of all the characters, all the trainer gallery stuff. They gave a lot of love to a lot of Pokemon, especially a lot of the playable stuff, like that new Comfy. Beautiful,
Oh yeah.
like absolutely beautiful. Like I have promo Comfies. I'm grabbing the character rare ones. I think they look better than the promos. Like also they can match more with the deck because we also get the Manaphy.
Oh, the Manaphy looks so pretty.
The Manaphy is awesome. Like we already have Eranguru, so I think Lost Box is a lot more matching artwork
Hmm.
because which also helps with your shuffling too, because if they're all matching, if they will shuffle similar.
Oh, there you
The
go. We've
same.
gone full circle, right?
Exactly. See,
Yeah.
so matching plus that, it's easier than 1+1
Yeah.
or two
And
plus
as
two.
as far as I can tell, I don't think there's any deregulation cards that got rares in Crown Zenith. I think it's all just stuff that's gonna stay good. So like, get your Mews, get your Manaphies, get your Comfies. It's
The
sticking
little
around.
that little Mew, the Mysterious Tail one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That 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 gives me remembrance of there's a I forgot, it's like from like back in the day. I don't know if it was out of the set or if it was like a promo. There's like a Mew where it's sitting on a rock. I don't know why I think of that. I'm gonna find that one. I think of when I'm thinking about that art. He's just kind of chilling. He's kind of just laying down, and I don't know. Mew's just a really cute Pokemon. I tend to like Pokemon more after I play with them more. I always liked Mew as a Pokemon. I thought Mew was kind of nice, kind of cute, kind of chill. And playing it, I kind of fell a little bit more in love with it. That's kind of how I am. I'm like, I have a little more respect.
Oh yeah. So
That's
the Mew is Black Star promo 47. Wizards Black Star promo 47 for anyone who wants to look it up. It's just chilling on a little rock. I do agree that like I think one of the things I love about the TCG is that it makes you fall in love with Pokemon that you have no business liking if you play the games, right?
Exactly.
Like my first ever top 8 was with Zek Eels. Like I just have this affinity for electric. Like who likes electric, right? It's the
Exactly.
middle evolution of a Pokemon, but I just love me some electric.
And that's what they create more fans out of it, you know. Like I didn't care about the Ultra Beast at first. I really didn't care about Blacephalon at first. And playing him for so long, I'm like, man, he's actually a really cool Pokemon. I saw more of him in the anime too, and I'm like, you know what? He's pretty cool. I like him a lot. He's funny.
Definitely.
He's a funny looking guy. He's kind of he is technically a clown, but
Yes.
it's pretty funny.
Oh yeah. There's been
So
a lot of resurgence of Reggie's love with the un because of the deck.
dude,
Everyone loves them some Reggies now.
dude here's my thing. I love the Reggies. Like the Pokemon releases a lot of gimmicks that just doesn't work. Don't work half the time. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's like
Oh,
then we
for
have like
sure.
the more Pekka, the Pikachu, the Dene
Oh yeah,
thing,
you have the Hitmon combo, which like
yep,
has bbeen played.
but not very
Yeah,
successful.
not
That
particularly.
and then we have the Reggies. Just have one of each Reggie on the board, and you get bring out energy, and I have a wide variety of attackers. Like Rock kills Arceuses, Steel actually kills Mew Vs because it hits for 220, just flat. Um, it we have Regice to stop like Pika and other annoying V attackers. Regigigas just knocks out VMAXs. 160 is really good. Lecky has a really good type right now, and the little spread against Lost Box that don't have Mana Feed down is pretty huge. It's just awesome. I love how that deck actually just works. And it does really well. It's top 8 at a bunch of regionals. I don't know if it's won a regional so far, but I'm pretty sure it's been like pretty close. It's been
I
pretty
don't think
consistent
it's
top 8s.
made it. I don't think it's made it to any finals yet. I feel like it always the regionals where like 4 or 5 Reggies made top 8 was the regionals where there was Gudra in top 8 and
Oh,
it just
yep,
kind of
yep.
blew through all the Reggies unfortunately.
Because Gudra just bodies that deck. Like I think personally, there might be a route that I just don't know about, but if you put Parasol on the Gudra and you go Roll Iron, they can't Regice. They can't Regice your Paras. They can't Regice because of Parasol. So you just sit there, and then they're doing basically no damage, and you're like hyperpotting if you play Arc Gudra, or like if you play Crystal Cave, or if you really want to play hyperpots on top of that. Just it's awesome. Gudra is also
Mhm.
a really cool deck, I think personally.
It actually just got.
But
I think it just got second at Liverpool.
did that? I saw someone sent me like that. Someone did well with like a Mew list, and I looked at that. I wish I watched more of the Liverpool stream. Obviously, it's on a really awkward time frame because whole different time zone than us.
Yeah, I think it just wrapped up. Honestly, just I think like an hour ago, and it looks like Mew won.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there you
let's
go.
go.
Yo,
That's what's up. I love
it's
it.
gonna
That
be a
means
good day.
Orlando. That means Orlando's gonna get a bunch of Drapion. So
Well, we'll see if Mew comes calling again for you.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely, we're gonna find out.
to kind of get us wrapped up, do you have any kind of final words or final comments? Where can people find you or reach out to you, see what you're up to?
Let's see. Definitely give a follow to Top Cut, Team Top Cut. We do our best to reshare everyone's tweets. If you want to find me on Twitter, my Twitter handle is @Flynoid, FLYNOID, all one word.
Give him a follow.
Give me a follow. You can definitely keep up with me there. I try to post on Twitter fairly regularly. There's times where obviously we don't post on social media every day, but I try to stay up to date on Twitter. I try to interact and listen. If anyone wants to ever drop me a message, just talk to me. I'm more than willing to talk. I'm always down to talk Pokemon and just chat about life, however it works. Yeah, reach me out there. Just keep an eye on me. Hopefully we make it to Worlds this year. Hopefully see me on the stage. Hopefully catch me on a stream at some point.
I
I would
hope
love that.
so.
I have not hit the stream yet. I want to so bad.
Yeah, most of your teammates have made it at this point, so you're
Every
due.
like
You're due.
I am due. Andy's made it. Jem's made it. Tyler just made it. I'm like, well, I've had Chip like watch me at Milwaukee. He was watching me play Justin Kulas. He was like he watched the entire game.
Hmm.
Like he just stood there watching us. I'm like, I think he's like, this should have been the streamed game. It was a really good set. It was a really good set. He's like, this should have been the stream game. This is really
Oh,
good.
dang.
It was really awesome to have him watching though. I think he's a really cool commentator. But
Awesome.
yeah, but if you want to drop a follow, I greatly appreciate it. Um, I did, yeah. Just shout out to everyone on Top Cut, like always supporting. Rachel for specifically, she's always MVP and helps finish out any maturity I don't have the final pieces of. Because believe it or not, I don't own every single card. Believe it or not.
I know you're going to a locals tournament tonight. Hope you
Yep.
have some good luck playing Mew.
Thank you. I'm gonna play some Lost Box again today. Actually, I think I'm gonna play some Lost Box again, specifically Rayquaza, because it hits big, and that deck's also just a really cool deck. Really cool
Yeah,
deck.
you like your one shots, don't you?
I do love my one shots. Rayquaza just, I mean, Rayquaza is also just a really cool Pokemon.
That's true.
I have a giant one on the back of my arm, so I do respect them a lot.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. I hope you have a good day.
Yes. You too. Thank you for having me on here. I greatly appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to Collin for being so generous with his time. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you're interested in hearing more conversations like this one, please consider following the podcast, reviewing us, or rating wherever you're listening. If you want to follow us on social media, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow the podcast on Twitter at memcappodcast. Or if you want to see me post about my own TCG experiences, you can follow me on Twitter at RZGladys. I hope you have a good day, and thank you for listening.